I'm sure someone out there has to know what I'm going to share. So actually, I remember it was Art and I were coming home from Mexico, and the lady sitting next to us had this on her water bottle. And I just keep remembering, you dehydrated bitch. So it says, the sticker is, and you guys have probably seen these, it says, drink some water, you beautiful, capable, but dehydrated bitch.
It makes, honestly, I feel like that's something that Cody Grigsby would say from Peloton, who like, he has so many reels made off of him.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of my favorite.
Oh, I can make this into a reel. There's a content
You totally
idea.
could make it into a reel. Yeah, his are great. Just find Cody Grigsby on reels if you have not, because they're my favorite.
Yeah, I am really bad about scrolling and finding new people. I honestly haven't spent that much time on social media lately. Like I've
Other
just
than
been
posting. I know.
busy.
That's the thing that I'm like, I really need to do better at stories because that's where we're able to connect with a lot of people. But it's like you're on calls and then you're trying to create content and study and then go get the kids. And like, I posted about it last week. I'm like, this is why I'm not on social media on like Tuesdays mainly, because I'm at Liz's and there's a lot of driving in between. And like when we're here, we're podcasting or we're meeting about things. And
yeah, it's also like the energy and the brain power.
like, what am I going to talk about? Well, that's what, I'll be honest, like the visualization and meditation that I've been doing lately has been where I've been creative because I finally have a freaking chance to slow down and like think about things other than what I'm currently doing. And so I'm actually really enjoying my visualization time, which I was very resistant to do originally because it has allowed me to come up with new ideas for content and like just brainstorm things.
I know. I was actually thinking this morning, I was up early and wanted to use my Muse, but I didn't have my headphones. That's the only thing that I don't love about it is I need my headphones with the device to use it. But anyways, plus Marcus has been up in the middle of the night and early in the morning. If you guys have a 3.5-year-old and know any of the tips or tricks as to how to get them to sleep in longer, that'd be great.
Last night was rough for us. Carson, daycare, he naps at, which he does not need to. And then he's up until 10:30. And I told his teacher during the teacher conference that we had, I was like, listen,
I'm going to need you
to wake him up because I cannot handle this. I go to bed at 9:30. I can't. We sometimes go to bed when Carson's still awake.
Yeah.
And he's just in his room talking to himself. Like, and I just can't do it. And so
Marcus tried to take toys with him the other night. He had him like stuffed in his pocket. And I'm like, whoa, what you got there, bud? Trying to take toy to bed. I was like, this isn't going to happen. So we're getting ready to change him into a big boy bed, the full size bed. I'm very nervous about it. I don't know if I'm ready for it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he could climb out of his crib. He's learned not to do that since we took the tent away. So if you guys know I have a climber, he just wants to.
That's going to be Taylor.
God, he is my child, 100%. I know that they say if you have a girl, it's even worse, as you're experiencing with Taylor. I feel like Marcus is a girl and a boy combined. That like he's just one of those kids. Like you tell him no, and he's going to do exactly what you told him not to do.
So Taylor's broken 5 ornaments already.
Of course,
Christmas tree.
Of course. Yes.
And Nick uses the method of yelling at her to try to get her to be like, don't do this. And the other day he was yelling at her and she was standing in front of the tree and she literally looks at him and without losing eye contact reaches behind her and grabs another ornament off the tree. And all I can do is laugh. Like I'm just, it was the best moment. And I was like, I mean, what are you going to do, Nick? She's 16 months old. Like
Art and I do that sometimes. Like you're so mad. And like, I can't tell him I'm mad. Sometimes I do. Like I was folding laundry Saturday morning. I don't remember what morning it was. Folding laundry and Art was at the gym. So it had been like Saturday morning before I went to work out. Okay. So I'm folding laundry and twice he comes by and like sweeps it off, swipes it off the table and just unravels it all. And I was like, Marcus, no, please. Like we can play with your toys, but like play on that side of the table. Mom does it a third time. I was like, okay. Like now I'm starting to get like annoyed. So then Art comes home and then he just thinks it's like funnier to like keep doing it. And so I finally was like, go sit in your green chair. And he knows if he's in his green chair, that's like his timeout reset chair. Because, at that point in time, it's just like frustrating because you're trying to fold the
absolutely laundry. I know. And that's, that's the hard thing with kids is like, you try not to laugh, but, and then you try not to get really pissed because they're kids, but Taylor totally knows. Like when she's doing something wrong, she literally looks at you and laughs when you try to tell her no. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you little bitch, you are totally me.
You told
and I can't even get mad at you. You are karma to me. Because apparently I was horrible as a child. Like ran away from my mom in stores, would hide in places so she couldn't find me.
Oh yeah, we're not taking Marcus to the grocery store with us anymore. We had that experience last week at the Tony's Market. It's like this big Mexican store after school. I almost text you. Like there's been a couple times where I'm like almost in tears. I'm like, I'm gonna text Becca. No, she hears enough about this all day long anyways. So we're in the store and I'm like, oh, we just need to get some romaine. So Art went to get something. I'm like, okay, Marcus, come with me. I got the cart. All of a sudden I turn around. He's gone.
Oh, God.
So some guy looks at me. He's like, oh yeah, he just ran down that way. So I'm like running over there. So then he sees me. So then he just keeps running. And so we get into the car and Art's like, do you know that like there's 2 of us here today? When I took him to Mariano's, this was like the whole trip where you're just like trying to chase. I'm like, I mean, you're so like mad, but you can't be mad.
Mm-hmm. The worst is when they do that whole thing where they make their body entirely limp and then you like can't hold them.
Or you're hurting me. You're hurting me because you like grab them by the arm and you're like, I'm not even grabbing you. I'm holding your hand and trying to, or pick you up. I was carrying him to the car. You're hurting my leg. I'm carrying you like I always carry you. How?
And then you have like DCFS coming to your house because someone
well,
heard
that's
you.
your fear, right?
Oh yeah, because some crazy person is going to be like, oh, "Are you hurting your child, lady? You handle them, okay?" Or like those comments that make me so mad that are like when you mention how you're tired because your kid was awake and people are like, "Just enjoy your time with them." Bitch, listen. You come to my house and take care of my kids at night so you're sleep deprived and tell me to enjoy your time, okay?
What about gentle parenting? I think we're supposed to do better at gentle parenting.
I try gentle parenting every day for a couple hours. And then last night I felt so like validated because every day Nick drives like an hour to work. So he usually gets home from work at like 6:15 to 6:30. And by that point, I've had the kids for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And night times, as all moms know, night times are challenging. Mm-hmm. The kids are tired. They're usually hungry. Like they're tough at night. Nick was like in the house for less than 10 minutes. And he was like, I haven't even been home for that long. And I'm already annoyed with you, Taylor. I was like, see? And he's like, have they been this bad the whole time? I'm like, no, they're not bad. They're just tired and they're hungry probably. Yeah. Like they're just reaching their expiration time. But yeah, it's,
God. I remember like the day you texted me, like, I'm going to put a muzzle on Taylor. And I was like, I mean, I definitely have my moments where I'm like, I'm going to get a leash and I'm actually considering we're going to Florida next week.
Oh, I totally understand parents that have leashes in large populated places.
Well, especially like you have, I feel like 2 types of kids. You have the runners and then you have the ones that are just like clingy, scared of everything and clingy.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have a runner and all I'm going to say is we want to go to downtown Disney while we're in Florida this week. I told Art, we don't have to travel with the car seat because the car that we rented has a seat for him. But I'm like, we need to bring the stroller. Otherwise, we're not going to have another option other than chasing our child nonstop. Well, and then it will end up that we're not leaving the resort because we're both at our wits' end.
Absolutely. I remember my sister-in-law telling me the story of she's like, I was like 8 months pregnant and the child before her third was a runner. She's like, imagine being 8 months pregnant with a runner. And like trying to catch them. It's just, yeah. So again, mothers, we love our children. I love both of my children to death. I would do anything for them. With that being said, they are a lot sometimes. And that is just motherhood. That is just motherhood. And that is why mothers need to take time for themselves. Mm-hmm. And let me just transition into our topic for today. You need to drink water.
You're a dehydrated bitch.
You need to drink water.
You're capable, you're beautiful, but you're dehydrated. No, in all seriousness, let's get into the topic today. So, listen, guys, this is one thing that we see so common with a lot of symptoms, actually. But on our intake forms, people do not drink enough water. And it is the most vital nutrient to your body. It is also, as I've said previously, 100 times on this podcast, the absolute easiest thing that you could probably start to implement at any moment in time.
Low-hanging fruit, people.
Super low-hanging fruit. You just get the glass or you get a cup or you get whatever device that you need and you go and you find water and you fill it up and you put it in your mouth and you drink it and you swallow it. And then all of a sudden you're starting to notice that my skin is better and I have more energy and I'm not as constipated. I don't have to strain as much to go to the bathroom. It is the lubricant to your body. So you need to drink the freaking water. And I'm sorry if you don't like plain water. Put some shit in it, whatever you want. Put the LMNT, put the citrus, put the raspberries, put the cucumber, put some stuff in it, make it cold, drink it down.
I will always also say one of the biggest complaints that we get is now I have to pee all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That is not a water problem. That is a bladder problem. You have probably ignored your pelvic floor issues for far too long, and you have very little control of your bladder. And you have to redevelop control of your bladder. And that takes waiting 3 to 4 hours in between the bathroom breaks. That takes not drinking so many irritants to your bladder like caffeine and alcohol. That takes sometimes pelvic floor therapy. You guys, I'm currently doing some pelvic floor therapy because I thought things were good after Taylor, and then they started regressing. They started regressing again. And so now I'm working on my own pelvic floor because guess what? I started noticing, oh, wow, I'm going to the bathroom every time I have to go to the bathroom, which is not what it is supposed to be. And so if you start drinking enough water and you have this problem, if you are going to the bathroom all the time, one, don't chug water. That's one piece. But two, you probably need to work on your pelvic floor a little bit because that plays a large role in your bladder control.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw that in there. But
and reach out to Veronica. So
we love Veronica. I'm working with her. Mm-hmm. She's amazing.
Yep.
We can, link out. She's been on the podcast before. We can link out her info. She does remote. She's in St. Louis, so I'm not working with her in person. She does remote calls. She's awesome. So the dictionary defines hydration as the quality or state of being hydrated. Okay. The condition of having adequate fluid in body tissues. The adequate fluid part of the definition, it hints at the real goal of hydration, to achieve a level of fluid balance conducive to optimal health and performance. It is not just water. And we're going to talk about that. It is a lot more about fluid and nutrient balance in your cells, which takes more than water because a lot of people drink a ton of water and are still dehydrated because you are not taking in electrolytes. You are not taking in sodium, potassium, magnesium, all of the things that allow your body to absorb the water and use it in cells. So let's talk a little bit about why this is a focus. Like Liz touched on one, it is the lubricant to the body and the bowels. There's a lot of other things that water plays a role in. It accounts for a healthy person. It accounts for about 50% of a female's body weight. Fat tissue has a lower percentage of water than lean tissue, and women tend to have more fat. So the percentage of weight is lower for women. So it's 52 to 55% for women. Men, it's about 60% because women have a higher fat percentage. And so more of their body is fat. It's just how it is. We have to carry babies. It's how anatomy was developed. The percentage of body weight is also lower in older people and obese people. And this is something that when you do like a body scan, you will notice obese people or people that are very overweight when they lose weight. We're going to talk about this on another podcast very soon. It's important that the efficiency of your weight loss is proper because you'll lose about half of what you lose should be water. The rest of it should not be muscle. Because what I would see a lot of times is people would come and get body fat tests and they would lose 20 pounds. And then they'd come in, they'd be like, why did my body fat percentage not improve? And I'm like, well, that's because you are losing a lot of muscle. And that's, unfortunately, when you don't go about weight loss properly, that's what'll happen. And people actually don't look that much better when they lose weight. They look worse sometimes. Yeah. But another topic for another day. But about 50% of our body, if not more, is water.
Yep. So we're going to give you 15 things today. This is not an all-inclusive list. Guys, the education and the training around water and hydration, we could go on for hours about this. We're going to keep it high level for you. So I mentioned number one, it's lubricant to the body. Literally it lubricates the joints. Your cartilage, right, which is found in your joints, and the disc of your spine contain about 80% water. Long-term dehydration, we're going to go over what short-term and long-term dehydration looks like towards the later half of this podcast, can reduce the joint's shock absorbing ability, leading to joint pain. Okay. The second thing is that it forms saliva and mucus. Like you guys, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I think Becca mentioned this. Like you just eat the food and you just think that magically it's going to come out the other end. Like there's so many processes that happen. All the things that your body has to do to create your tears, your saliva, your mucus, right? That all takes work and that takes water and hydration, minerals, right? So saliva, we've talked about this many times. We have a mechanical part of your digestion and we have a chemical part of your digestion. Mechanics is your teeth and your chewing. Do more of it. Chew your food well. Chemical is your saliva. It helps you to digest your food. So if we think about what we're going to eat for lunch, we start salivating. In our saliva, we have digestive enzymes to break down carbohydrates and fats. Okay. And then this goes into the stomach where we meet gastric juices, stomach acid, and so forth to break down proteins, pancreatic enzymes. All of those things are very important. And, we also look at, your saliva and your mucus with your mouth, your nose, your eyes, as I just mentioned, right? Your blinking or your tears. So forming saliva and mucus prevents friction and damage. Anybody who's ever slept with their mouth open, right? You know what it's like when you wake up, you got that cotton mouth and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's like cardboard, right?
Mouth breather.
I am a mouth breather. But not always, but you need to drink water. Okay. This also helps keep things clean, right? Flush things out, flush toxins out, keep your mouth clean. So this is one thing that I would say if you are a coffee drinker, a tea drinker, or you drink a lot of soda, you also got to think about all of the things that are in those beverages, either staining your teeth or, causing like tooth decay, cavities, things like that, especially if you're somebody who's doing a lot of like sweetened beverages. So keep that in mind. Again, we're talking here about water, and we're going to talk about different types of water as well later on. But those are the first two.
Yep. Number 3, it delivers oxygen to the body. And I'll throw in there, it delivers pretty much everything to the body because blood is about 90% water. So your blood is mostly water, and blood carries oxygen to different parts of the body. Blood is our, it's our portal system. It's how everything gets throughout the body. And so if we do not have proper hydration, that gets slowed down, that becomes deficient essentially. And now we are working suboptimally as a human. So we need to have that proper amount of hydration to allow for our blood flow to be proper. It also boosts skin and health and beauty. With dehydration, skin becomes more vulnerable to skin disorders and premature wrinkling. One thing that I think we need to get on the podcast is someone that knows a lot about Botox and the toxicity that is within Botox, because I have seen so many people our age getting Botox, and I'm like, this wasn't even part of like that crossed my mind. And now I'm worrying about wrinkles and being like, but I know you guys, Botox is a chemical. Like you are literally injecting chemicals. And guess what it's doing? It is causing your body to not adequately use its own muscles and its own health to keep your skin tight.
Yeah. I was just talking about this with a client yesterday, and we were talking about Botox gone wrong. And I was like telling her this story. My husband and I were out. This was probably 2 or 3 summers ago. And and if you guys have watched enough of my videos or seen pictures of this, I have my happy vein in my forehead.
Yeah.
So we were out at a rooftop in the middle of the summer, and this lady basically tells me that I need Botox in my forehead because of my happy vein.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And, but then I was telling her that I've seen Botox gone wrong too many times, and I'm like definitely afraid of it because I've just imagined coming out looking like a clown.
I'm going to be that person that doesn't react well to it.
Yeah. None for me. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I will take the other things, like the serums and all those things.
Yeah.
So on the topic for today, when Becca and I did 75 hard, I feel like my skin was very, very clear and vibrant. Like I still do the same skincare, but we were drinking a gallon of water a day. I will say right now, I'm about half my body weight in ounces, sometimes a little bit more. And that's primarily because I'm also on minerals, and through the gut protocol, I don't want to overhydrate. So there is something, to be said about overhydrating as well and depleting your body of minerals and the mineral balance and so forth. So, if you're listening to this podcast, I've always said like a general rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces, depending upon your size, not more than a gallon. And if let's say you're a petite person, but you do work out, then I would say there maybe go up to 2/3 of your body weight because you sweat a lot and you lose, fluids there, but make sure that you're incorporating some sort of, electrolyte supplement. Like we love like the LMNT. I'm drinking it right now. Yep. But it's very important, for skin.
And here's the thing, if you have a reaction by drinking more water, or you're having a reaction from LMNT, like a bloating or you're having some type of edema or something, there's a dysfunction going on that's causing that. Like that's what we need to address. It's not the water. It's not the sodium. There's some level of underlying dysfunction that needs to be addressed. So just keep that in mind.
Yep. All right. Number 5, it cushions the brain, the spinal cord, and other sensitive tissues. I already mentioned this, earlier in terms of your joints, but dehydration can affect the brain structure and function. It's also involved in the production of hormones and neurotransmitters. So prolonged dehydration can lead to problems with thinking and reasoning. This is when we look at long-term dehydration, symptoms such as brain fog, forgetfulness, inability to focus. Those things can simply be because you're a dehydrated bitch. All right, number 6, it regulates your body temperature. I'm going to say that so many times, and I apologize if you guys have kids listening to this podcast. I can't help myself today. Just tell them or bleep me out. But it regulates body temperature. So again, water is moving fluidly throughout the body. When it's stored in the middle layers of the skin, it comes to the skin's surface. When we sweat, right, as your body heats up. So then we're evaporating to cool your body down. Right. So if you're somebody who works out, you know this all too well. But having a lot of water in the body may reduce physical strain if you are somebody who's very sensitive to heat or heat stress occurs. Again, you wouldn't go out in 95-degree heat and do a hike without water. At least I hope you wouldn't. You even see runners, in the summertime carrying their little fanny packs of water with them. You need to stay hydrated, replenish these fluids. And so there are some scientists that suggest that when there's too little water in the body, heat storage increases, and this is where we would see somebody overheat.
Yep.
Right.
Sodium plays a huge role here too, because again, if you have too much water, that can become a problem too, especially with athletes doing long endurance stuff. Because again, you're peeing out your electrolytes, you're peeing out things that.
I think that this is where Element has a blog on it, and they talk about like some of the CrossFit athletes that use Element doing up to 3 packets of it.
Yeah, I think it's called hypernatremia is the term, like the medical term for it, which is sodium loss, too high of sodium loss, and you end up with what people think of is massive dehydration, but it's actually low sodium. So number 7, digestive system. Liz already touched on this. The bowels need water. Like that is the main purpose of the colon. That is, it's adding liquids to help create stool to then be passed. So dehydration can lead to constipation. It can lead to an overly acidic stomach.
Oh, imagine that.
Oh, okay. It can increase the risk of heartburn and stomach ulcers. All of these things because you need acidity in your stomach. Okay. When you are dehydrated, you basically are ruining the pH balance of your body. When you are overly hydrated, you can dilute that acid level in the stomach. So you need a healthy balance.
Yeah. And this is why we say don't drink a ton of water with your meals.
Yes.
So we have a 3-part series on stomach acid, and we talk in there about the pH that you want your stomach acid. You want it to be super acidic. 1.5 to 3 is the range that we want. Very, very acidic. Okay. So neutral is what, a 7, I believe. I have to go back and refresh my memory there, but 1.5 to 3 is what you want your stomach acid. That's the acidic level that it should be. When you take PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, and so forth, you're raising your pH to above 5. And this is what sets the stage for things to survive in the body that shouldn't, different bacteria, parasites, and so forth. Because if your stomach is acidic and your pH is where it should be, those things cannot survive for more than 15 seconds.
And also the problem with the stomach acid is that people, when they have acid reflux, they want the pain of the acid reflux to go away. The problem with the acid reflux is that the stomach acid that should not be getting to any other part of the body is getting into your esophagus. And so what the doctors will do is they'll give you the PPI, and that is neutralizing your stomach acid so that when it does come up, you don't notice the pain. The problem isn't the acidity of the stomach. The problem is that it's getting into your esophagus. And so they're not fixing the problem. They're neutralizing your stomach acid, which is making even more problems. But again, another day.
We digress.
Number 8, it flushes body waste. Water is needed for the processes of sweating and removal of urine and feces. Okay? Those are your main detoxification pathways. And may I also add, we talked about blood earlier. You need to have a proper lymphatic system that's flowing, that drainage pathways are open. Hydration is huge for all of this. So you need to make sure that you are getting it in so that your body can eliminate the things that it needs to eliminate. Number 9, it helps maintain blood pressure. A lack of water can cause blood to become thicker, increasing blood pressure. Another thing that I will say is that people that have very low blood pressure, people that tend to run on the lower side, I am one of them, you probably need a little bit more sodium too. So sodium helps your adrenals bring blood pressure up. A lot of people that have very low blood pressure typically are people that also suffer with fatigue, headaches, brain fog, waking up not feeling very rested. And so the sodium, especially in the morning, can help your adrenals kind of give it that boost to produce that blood pressure to be higher, which gives you energy.
Yeah. I've been doing my adrenal cocktails with the coconut water, a little higher potassium, which I really personally like.
Yeah.
So when we think about, other things that water does in the body, again, it's the most vital nutrient to the body. You can go a few days without food. You can't go more than, 48 hours without water, I believe.
think. Yeah.
So it makes minerals and nutrients accessible. Again, think about fluid. It's moving. If you guys have ever had your basement flood, we had our basement flood, water gets everywhere. It is everywhere in your body. Every part of your body, every cell of your body needs this because minerals and nutrients dissolve in water. And that's what makes it possible for them to reach different parts of the body. So we also have these things called sodium potassium pumps, right? If we don't have enough sodium or we have an imbalance here of sodium and potassium and we don't have enough water, the body is not getting these nutrients or these minerals into the cells where they need to be utilized. Minerals are the spark plug to the body. So it's also going to impact your energy levels. It prevents kidney damage. So the kidneys, they are responsible for regulating your fluid retention in the body, and insufficient hydration leads to kidney stones, okay, and other problems as well. It can boost your performance during exercise. Scientists have proposed that consuming more water might enhance your performance during strenuous activity. Not too much. Again, I think this is kind of like when you're eating your meals. Like for me, I know you're probably the same. When you're doing high intensity or you're lifting, like I don't want a belly full of water, but you'll take sips of, your BCAAs or whatever intra workout that you might be having, with you. But definitely, if you are sweating a lot, you're going to want to be replenishing, that to continue to improve your performance and continue to pump sodium, into your cells, as Becca was mentioning.
Yep. The airways need it. So when you're dehydrated, airways are restricted by the body in an effort to minimize water loss. So this can make asthma for certain people and allergies for certain people worse. So if you're noticing like you're out of breath easily or, your allergies are getting worse, look at your water intake. Weight loss. Water can help with weight loss. It can keep you from consuming other beverages. And then also, when you are drinking water, it allows things to be flushed out of the body properly. And so, again, people that are dehydrated actually sometimes become bloated and hold on to water because their body's trying to maintain a hydration balance. And so it'll store more water in certain cells and you will actually be heavier. You will feel more bloated. And so I see actually frequently when people drink enough water, they start dropping weight because their body's able to be properly hydrated. And lastly, we'll throw this in there, reduces the chance of hangovers. Okay. Partying, all of those fun things. When you alternate with water, I have done this too. You feel a lot better, guys. You feel a lot better. One of the main issues, I saw someone on Instagram the other day, actually Nick might have showed it to me, and they were like, do you know why you get hangovers? It's because of the histamine in alcohol, not the alcohol. And I'm like, okay, that is largely downplaying the toxic effect of alcohol. I'm going to disagree. And so, but dehydration is one of the main reasons you have really bad hangovers. And that's because alcohol dehydrates you severely. It's also a bladder irritant. It's also a toxin. So just going to throw that out there. Water can help a lot with it. Yep. So,
all right. So we talked about 15 reasons here that, you need water. Hopefully you guys have gotten the point, but we're going to keep going here. So we're going to talk about short-term effects of dehydration and long-term effects of dehydration. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are thirsty, you're dehydrated. Do not wait to the point that you get thirsty. And if you're somebody who's going to be that Sally who tells me, or that Karen who tells me, well, like I just forget, or I don't have, water with me, that's a very easy solution. If you go on Amazon.com, you can look at bottles of water that you can bring with you that are portable. You can even get the Brita that has a filter in it. We're going to talk about types of water and the importance of filtering your water. But there is literally no excuse in the world that we live in that you are not hydrated. Okay? That's my tough love for you today. Short-term side effects. Feeling thirsty. You have dry mouth, you're decreased sweating or urination. So you're not peeing frequently. Your pee, when you do go, is a little bit darker. So you really don't want your pee to be clear. It shouldn't look like the water that you're drinking that's totally clear. It should look like pale yellow. Anything beyond that, when you're getting into the darker side here of like the, brownish yellow, I would say, or almost like even like orange for some people. You don't
want apple juice. You want lemonade.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Dry skin, feeling tired, or feeling dizzy. Okay, so those are all with mild dehydration. And this would be if you were like in a cool place, drinking water. If you are somebody who is very severely dehydrated, one, you can end up in the hospital for this and be hospitalized, right? Mm-hmm. But you can have fainting, be confused, rapid heart rate, breathing issues, or worst case scenario here is a stroke. But what we want to look at here is how much are you drinking and how can you space this out? So tough love in terms of like, I keep forgetting, like I get that. And you don't want to be up in the middle of the night and like peeing all night. Space it out. I have my rule 3 by 3, 3 liters by 3 p.m. I'm up at 5:15 usually. I go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock these days because I'm exhausted and it's dark at 4:30. But in between, I try to get 1 liter in by 10, 1 liter, my second liter in by like 1 or 2, and my third liter by 3 or 4. So I'm not backloading and I'm not front loading. I'm evenly spacing it out throughout the day. I do add my element, typically closer to my workout, but not always. So this is something too. If you don't enjoy water, get something to put in your water. I would recommend, doing like the drops that you put in your water, stevia based. So Skinny Girl has some of those. You can look for Zevia. You can go on Amazon and find some of those. But if you want to, have your water taste different than regular water because you don't like regular water, there's a lot of ways to do that. But at the end of the day, guys, you need to be getting at least half your body weight in every day and make it a non-negotiable. Like, honestly, because when we look at the long-term effects, this is where we look at all of the symptoms that like, okay, if you just drank water and you were just hydrated, you probably wouldn't be dealing with some of these chronic symptoms that now you think are correlated to something that really isn't as bad. It's quite simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Chronic dehydration can get severe on bodily functions. And sometimes it can be things that people don't necessarily notice, like physically. So decreased blood volume, increased blood viscosity. So like your blood becomes thicker, decreased urine output. Thereby increasing the amount of waste products within the body. If we aren't pooping and peeing and sweating, you are keeping waste in your body because it is not getting excreted by the body. Decreased electrolyte levels, decreased kidney function, and all of these have very profound effects on overall function. So for example, electrolytes are important chemicals that assist with cellular functions within the body. Without them, your cells cannot function optimally, which can lead to symptoms of fatigue, muscle soreness, headaches, and or dry skin, which is why we are so adamant about drinking things with your water, because if you do not have these, you will end up dehydrated without them. Blood also transports oxygen and other cellular products throughout the body. When we have less blood, we have less oxygen, we have less hormones, we have less cellular waste being transported to the appropriate cells. When blood gets thicker, the heart has to work harder throughout the entire body, and that extra strain can lead to problems down the road. Your kidneys also are a very important organ to consider with chronic dehydration because they filter out waste products in our blood and excrete them through urine. The kidneys are absolutely something that play a role in detoxification. With dehydration, urination decreases, leading to buildup of waste in the kidneys. This can lead up to kidney stones. Kidney stones absolutely are high amounts of toxicity, stress, and dehydration. Those 3 things. It is not, yes, there can be genetic predisposition to them, but like it is a buildup of things. It did not just happen. Urinary tract infections absolutely are a huge one, and or overall reduction in kidney function. If the kidneys lose 10% or more of their function, a person can be diagnosed with kidney disease. So chronic dehydration can cause very serious things. Luckily, as we've been talking about, prevention of dehydration is very simple. Might not be easy, but it is simple. So we are going to do a part 2 to this because there are so many things that we want to talk about. And I think that we're just, I don't think we need an hour and a half long podcast on.
Yeah. On water. I just think that we're doing this because it's so common. You might be listening to this like, I drink water like a pro, and that's awesome. Keep doing that. But I'd say about 90% of the people that we talk to, or even, clients coming in, are dehydrated, and they've been living in a dehydrated state. I'm actually writing, and it should be out by the time that this podcast airs, the Constipation Cure. And it's a PDF talking about constipation, what drives constipation, easy ways for you to remedy it, either short-term or long-term, like, acute or chronic. But just a fun fact here, when we talk about constipation, and I am very serious when I say it's quite literally the lube to your body, your large intestine or your colon absorbs more than 1 liter of fluid each day. And this is what helps you move things through your colon. So a lot of times we'll see people like, oh, my doctor told me to take Miralax, or my doctor, so recommended like Calm, or, another osmotic laxative intended to pull water into your bowels. How do you expect your body to pull water into your bowels if you're dehydrated, right? This is really important. It's like the first line of defense, sometimes with, the fatigue or the skin issues or, constipation. So we want to just really drive this home today. And hopefully you guys now understand the importance of this. We could go on for hours about the importance of water just because of down to the nitty gritty, so many roles that it plays. Please drink your water. If you're peeing at nighttime, start to, spread it out throughout the day. If you are somebody who drinks 16 ounces of water today, don't flip to half your body weight in ounces. If that's, 100 ounces, start to work your way up there. Let your body adjust the same way we would do, so if we were changing somebody's macronutrient intake and they're eating 15 grams of protein, but they should be eating 80, we're not going to just flip the switch here. So give your body some time to adjust to this, add in those electrolytes or the LMNT packets, whatever it is, and really try to just drink water like an adult and don't, sit there and just chug it. And that's what we got for you guys today. So we'll be back on Wednesday talking about the different types of water because we get a lot of questions about this. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or reach out to us on Instagram. And as always, please like, share, rate, and review the show with your family and your friends, as this is how we reach others around the world. Have a great day.